conflict in any organization is very detrimental to the well-being of the individuals in the organization, to the well-being of the organization, to the success of the organization. Conflict needs to be minimized, reduced, and eliminated as much as possible. If it is not, then there is a high price to pay for everyone involved. This can be illustrated by a contract I had with the research department for the Ford Motor Company in Detroit, Michigan, consisting of 18 senior researchers. I was invited in to work with this team of researchers to reduce the conflict that existed. After we had completed our identity mapping assessment, the people had scored as follows. One woman who invited me in was a relationship person, and she did not like the conflict, and she wanted to reduce as much as possible. One man who came from England, part of their research team, was an action-oriented person. The other 16 were all logical. And we put them in groups then based on their primary personality. The logical were grouped in 2 tables. We had the relationship alone, and we had the action person alone. And I said to the group to start off with, because so many of you have similar personalities, one could assume that you all get along and work together very, very well. But I know that is not true. Within this group, there's an enormous amount of conflict, and you don't get along hardly at all. And they started laughing, and they couldn't stop laughing because I had opened Pandora's box, something none of them could have ever said about the group without being chastised. And so I made this statement. From there on, the workshop rolled out beautifully. They wanted to understand themselves. Why are they in conflict so often? What is the problem? And how can they overcome it? The reason they're in conflict so often is that logical people believe in their heart of hearts they really have the answer. Each has analyzed, gathered all the data, and come up with their conclusion. But their conclusion is not the same as other people's conclusions. And so this causes ongoing conflict, extensively. And that's detrimental to the Ford Motor Company getting things accomplished, because research is a basis for making decisions on the production and the design of all the automobiles, trucks, everything else that Ford's putting out on the road. So they really have to have good information based on a team of people working together cohesively, not in great conflict, because it becomes a power struggle. Which one are they going to listen to? And so it's not healthy for anybody. And so we conducted a day-long workshop on, first of all, how they better could understand their own needs, which is where the major source of conflict is, the strengths that they all bring. They have wonderful talent there, the values that they associate with in their life, and where they find their satisfaction and fulfillment. And so that was a day-long kind of workshop, and how they could work together effectively to accomplish the goals that the companies employed them for. They were drawing big salaries, and they need to earn those salaries and return to the company the investment the company is making in them. And the workshop accomplished this. They began to look at each other very differently and appreciate one another, as opposed to find the other as a source of stress and angst and disappointment. It's a matter of sort of reframing and turning the whole thing around. Look at what you've got to offer, look at the other people have got to offer, see how you can pull this together in a meaningful way for this organization. So it really did a total turnaround for the research department in a way that they themselves alone could never have accomplished. They needed to have someone to facilitate and guide them through this activity. And it was like going through a major surgery for them, in one sense. But they healed.
Fred, can you expand on the concept of needs and conflict and how they're related?
Well, all of us have basic needs that need to be accomplished. And the needs of the logical people are to be right. They're perfectionistic. They want to know as much as possible about all the data that is out there. They analyze everything to death. And they pull together conclusions based on very careful analysis and synthesis of data to move forward. But when they're working independently, they come up with different conclusions. And they need to begin to work cohesively as a group on all this. and process things together as a group, not as 16 or 18 individuals in separate rooms, but as a group of 18 in one room, working on all the information data they have in a cohesive kind of way. This would be a need for the relationship person, which she provided then a lot of structure for because that's her style. And she helped the theological people better see how they can work together. The action person's goal and need is always to get it done as quick as possible. And so the long, lengthy research processes did not appeal to that individual. And I have a little more to say about that later. But these individuals, when their needs are being met, then do find satisfaction in the work environment. They do find they're getting fulfilled, and they're valuing the contribution that they're actually making because it's much more significant and positive. Now, at the conclusion of this workshop, I, of course, leave the activity and the program and so forth, and several months later, I got a call from the action member of this team. And he said, can you come to Detroit because I would like you to roll out a training to my sales force. And I said, you have a sales force in Detroit? I thought you were in London, England. He said, because of the information and insight that I gained in your workshop, I realized research was not my bag. I did not belong there at all. And he said, I resigned from Ford Motor Company. I left my native country of England. I moved to Detroit, and I'm a sales manager for an automotive marketing team, and I'm loving it.